Hi, I'm Rob Eder. You're watching Drugstore News TV. We're here in San Diego on the show floor at any CDS Marketplace. I'm lucky enough to have a moment with Vesta Brue, the CEO of MedSignals. She's going to tell us a little bit about a very unique product they brought to show retailers this year. Tell us about this, MedSignals.
Well, Rob, it's been very exciting to introduce it to retailers at the show. MedSignals is a smart pill box. It's a communicating pill box, which means that it's not only a pill box that reminds the patient when and how to take their pills, which is a very important function. But the more important piece for most people is that it's a monitor, and it communicates outside of the device when the lids were opened and what the patient actually did. So in this case, it will remind the patient when and how to do it, but it's also going to monitor every lid opening, send that data to a server where it can be distributed to anybody who needs to know.
Vesta, that's incredibly interesting. Can you show our viewers back at home how this works?
Well, sure. At the patient level, the caregiver is usually the one who's going to be loading the device and setting it for the patient, because that's the person who really has an interest in being able to make sure that patient gets it right. So they are going to put the four most important drugs, let's call them the life-threatening drugs, into the device. So each bin is going to hold a prescription, let's call it 30-day supply of that drug. It is no longer a case of sorting by doses. Now they are going to dump all of 4 different drugs into each bin and label it as such. Then when it's time for the patient to take the drug, the bin is going to be flashing. First, there's going to be beeping saying that a pill is due, and whichever pill is needed will be flashing. So at the time the patient then comes to open it,
take one pill.
It's going to tell them exactly how to take that drug.
Without food.
Pretty cool, huh?
That is really quite something. Now, I understand the MedSignals has a dual language function as well.
Yes, we're bilingual. I have another one right here.
How about that? I'm not bilingual either.
In Spanish language, and in this case, it will allow the patient to hear the instructions entirely in Spanish if they prefer.
Wow, that is really something.
It's making it possible to get into Mexico and a lot of the Spanish-speaking countries in a hurry.
Okay. And so who's the customer for this product? I mean, this is an awful lot of technology, Vesta.
Well, as I said, it's usually the caregiver. It's not the patient. Oh. So understand that this is usually the 45-year-old daughter of an elder parent. Elder parent might be in their 60s, 80s, something in which they're just somebody is starting to recognize they really need to keep an eye on them. If they don't keep an eye on them, medication non-adherence is the biggest contributor to why people need to go to nursing homes. So at that point, the pharmacist is no longer loses a customer as soon as that patient has to move out of their own independent living into any kind of nursing home facility where they're no longer in charge of their own drugs. So it's the caregiver who wants to add years to that patient's at independence and at-home pill dispensing. So the caregiver is going to make a decision. They don't want to drive across town every Saturday and sort these Medisets anymore. They want to be able to use technology, which is now available, to be able to look online or to get an email alert anytime the grandma is not taking her Coumadin on time. They want to be able to send automatic notices to the doctor every time that the patient is going to have a meeting. They want to be able to send that patient's adherence records with one point and click right to the doctor so that the doctor is fully knowing what that patient's adherence levels have been. There's now another feature that makes it extremely attractive for pharmacists, and that is that with each drug, the caregiver or the patient, whomever, can click to make sure the pharmacist gets an automatic notice to refill that order when the patient gets down to 5 pills. Based on usage, we can detect exactly when that's happening, and it automatically will push a refill order right to the pharmacist.
Okay, well, we're hearing the pharmacist word. So where does this go in the store? I mean, is this an OTC? Where does a retailer put this?
Well, we, by and large, prefer that it be close to the pharmacist simply because the pharmacist is the one who's going to get the benefit. And they're usually the ones who have the most to gain from being able to aid that patient toward better compliance. For one thing, Rob, we in 3 clinical trials, all of which were funded by National Institutes of Health, we discovered that we had anywhere from a 13 to 25% percentage point pop in adherence levels. So that meant that if a patient is now taking about 70% of their pills, they'll be up to anywhere from 83 to 95% of the pills in the course of a period of time. That makes a big difference to the pharmacy in terms of the number of pills that are actually consumed. Another really big advantage, of course, is that now the patient can choose to have that automatically sent to the prescription area, to the pharmacy, so that their prescriptions can be refilled instantly when they get down to 5 pills. And it's going to altogether make a more seamless process for the pharmacist as well as the patient.
Wow, that really is quite a benefit for the pharmacist and the retailer. So what are you folks going to do to let consumers know, the caregivers, know that this product's out there? Do you have any big marketing plans for MedSignals?
Well, because it is large, it is broad-based, we believe we need to be very targeted with who the buyer is. And we also believe that the pharmacist or the pharmacy, the retailer, knows way better than we do who their customer is and how to reach them. So our strategy is to give very, very generous co-op advertising budgets, largely because we want them to cooperate and partner with us in making sure we get this message to the right buyers at the point of purchase.
Wow, Vesta, this is making me think of something. One of the big buzzwords right now in retail pharmacy, one of the key challenges on the pharmacy side of the business for a lot of these chains is this whole idea of medication therapy management, or MTM. What is it? How do you implement it? How do they get paid for it? How can MedSignals help the retailer from an MTM standpoint?
Oh, we love that, because there is nothing like improving medication adherence, but more importantly, monitoring medication adherence that makes that really big difference in MTM. And MedSignals goes right to the heart of those issues, because first of all, we're reminding the patient at pill time, we're reminding the caregiver what the patient has been doing, so that there's a monitoring and an ability to keep an eye on that patient remotely at a good distance. We're posting those on the chart so that any caregiver who needs to know is able to step in and take a look, either online or by email or by fax copies, however the authorization has occurred. They're able to monitor on 4 of the most critical drugs, and it stands to reason they're going to be taking the other drugs more effectively and smartly because of this program. And it just basically improves efficiency all the way around and really aids that pharmacist in being able to have high loyalty on the part of the patient, the customer.
Well, there you have it. MedSignals. Folks, is one of the biggest challenges in the drugstore business today. It's patient compliance and adherence. Not only is it challenging the American healthcare system, but it's an excellent opportunity that retailers are looking at to grow the business at the back end. One company that's trying to help them is MedSignals. Vesta, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you, Rob.
I'm Rob Eder. You're watching Drugstore News TV.